All right, good day. I was prepping for the weather, believe it or not. So yesterday I did my fourth coat on the outside, let it set through the night. And then right now I think we're about 50 degrees in the barn today. So due to the cold temperatures, and I even have the heater on, I'm taking my scraper before I try and sand, because I have all of this turquoise epoxy from the fill on the inside that we need to scrape off so that it doesn't build up on the sander. I thought maybe it was super dry and it would go ahead and sand off, but it's running a little fast and so it's gumming up. So we're gonna go ahead and scrape this. This is some of the hard manual labor that takes place on the inside, and then we'll work on sanding. So that's what we've got on tap for today. I'll only show a little bit because this is actually pretty boring. Sanding the inside curve is a little bit trickier than the outside because you're having a tough time with the sander because it's always on the edge. One of the things I did in order to manipulate my sanding pad is I took an old disc, I cut from hole to hole to hole, and Velcroed it on. Then from there, I started building up tape in order to create, if you will, that curved bottom so that I'm able to more aggressively sand with the whole pad rather than just on the edges, because you can see the edges are getting beat pretty hard. So this is a nice way to execute the sanding from the inside of the disc. I may even add some more on in order to get just a little bit more of a curve, but I can already tell a dramatic difference just in when I added that versus when I didn't. I still have the in here. It's much more smooth in terms of that transition. So that was one of the quick little tips that I wanted to share with. Manipulate your pad. Use that old sand pads, build up on it, especially with the Velcros. It's very easy to do that. And then you can customize what you need in terms of that curve. Keep on going. All right, so I've spent pretty much all day sanding inside. I used the scraper a lot on all of that epoxy turquoise because that was really hard stuff to get off and it would really just stick to the sander. So we have completely sanded the inside this morning, today. And then here in the evening hours, we did a quick little patch fill of a lot of the holes that are in there, finding that if you don't do a good job with that, your fiberglass will show through, especially when we had this on the outside. If it doesn't have something that it's sticking onto on the surface, it creates a bubble. And that way you know you've made some huge mistakes in your prep work. So we've worked on sanding and filling that area. So this is now our first coat of epoxy just to saturate the wood before we will line the fiberglass. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll kind of see how this coating turns out and then sand it down and then go from there. So that's where we're at. Oh, one side note, we did go ahead and weigh just the shell, and it came in roughly 20 pounds before we put in this coating here. So right now, the shell alone, 20 pounds. I'm hoping that we can stay right around the 30-pound mark, but I'm a little worried that we might be a little bit heavy. So again, I'm gonna try and keep this as light as possible because my skin on frame is right at 20 pounds. So we don't have the seat, we don't have the foot braces in, and we don't have the thwart in or the decks. So there's quite a few things that we need to add, but we're gonna really try and keep the weight limits down. Till tomorrow. All right, I didn't really want to bore you with the sanding inside, then the coating last night, and then the sanding this morning. So all of that's been done. Now we're coming back. I've been watching some videos last night on doing this in terms of the internal. Supposedly it's a lot easier. We're going to go through and find out and see. One of the things I did notice on McCarthy when he was doing his, he said he didn't take the fiberglass all the way up to the ends because you'll end up stretching it too there. So we're going to see how that turns out. All right, here we go. Time lapse. All right, so after doing some more epoxy, forgot to actually get the time lapse going again. So anyways, inside has been coated. It is a little tricky though. There's a lot of shifting. Mac was doing it where he would actually take his hands and kind of pull this. You do have a lot of movement, and it is a little tricky in terms of trying to get it up along the edges and really getting it coated. I don't know any tricks for it, but anyways, it's just constantly working and working that squeegee to get that epoxy into the weave. So we're gonna go ahead and let it dry. We'll come back and clean up the edges, both bow and stern later. Right now, I'm just kind of looking at what do we have and trying to get all air bubbles out. So I'm just gonna work on that. Don't need to bore you. I'm also working on my thwart, and I'm also working on some foot braces as well. I'll show those in a little bit. All right, so we're back working on it today. There's technically two coats on the fiberglass on the inside shell, but I've got a lot of weave that's still showing through. It kind of went on thick. I'm not sure if that's because of the weather, the temperature, the humidity, or what. Really don't like it. A lot of the curves show thin. Down in the flat, it's showing there's pretty thick. And then I had run out of rollers in order to drag it, so I have all these tiny little air bubble bumps on there. So we're gonna go ahead and sand this down carefully. I'm working on a 120 grit so that I'm not going too aggressive. And then we'll try and get this smoothed out so that hopefully we just have a light coat that we can put on. So I'm still waiting for some more rollers. Once we've got that, then I'll start working on the thwart, the decks as well. I've already cut one of them out. Matter of fact, let me just show you. All right, so here's what I did. I took the leftover material, glued up a bunch of panels. This one happens to be the rear deck. Just got some work that I need to do there. I've already traced it and cut out for the front deck. I think I'm gonna do a laser engraving in here just to put some information on there. This one is obviously for the front. I'm gonna use another one of these for the actual backrest. You can see that I've got a cardboard cutout as to what it's going to look like. I had markings on here. Looks like right about this location will be where the thwart goes. But I'm also positioning myself in comparison to my other kayak where I'm going to be seated as well as balanced from that. So I've got an adapter that I need to make here for that. We'll curve it a little bit. And I'm gonna try and keep this backrest a low profile so that when you're sliding this in out of the truck, we're not putting undue stress onto the backrest. So it will lay down a little bit lower. It'll be kind of like a lower back support, but that's kind of what you want anyways. And then I have some foot pegs, footrests that will be foldable that we will put in here, again, doing some measurements. So I'm getting very anxious to get this out on the water because I think it totally looks great. But this is the time where you've really got to slow down, be patient, because even though I will get the epoxy on this, I still have to clear coat it with a spar finish in order to UV protect it. So there's still a couple of weeks on this before we get it out on the water, and we're in our second week of June. So again, this will probably be ready for July, August, especially the fall, when the fall colors come. But we're just gonna try and do this right the first time so we don't have to go back and fix mistakes. Kind of like the sanding that's taking place right now. So let's get back to work.